Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your Minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are you? Hopefully you're doing quite lovely. I'm doing quite well myself. But anyway, we've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about this new road that Lego is going, and this little guy that's sitting right here next to me right now. This whole idea of birds. Birds. Why was this not thought of before? Do you have any idea how many creatures there are in the world that you could make an icon set around? And of course they went and they made this little guy, and what I'm referring to is the Kingfisher Bird. Has 834 pieces, retails for $50, 50 euros. The set number, in case you are looking for it to Google it or whatever, 10331. Small build in comparison, 834 pieces. Intricate build, quite intricate, very detailed, very time consuming. Not time consuming in a bad way, but considering it only has just over 800 pieces, this took entirely too long for what I was expecting. Not a bad taking too long. Usually when you put together an 800 piece set, you're like, oh, that was fun. That didn't last very long. Unless you're doing it blindfolded or you're doing it one hand, which I guess you can in some things, not in others. However, this cool little guy comes with a few different things in. We also get a new piece that is in here specifically, and I'm a fan of it. I'm here for it. So this puppy comes on a round base. Slope pieces are used around the bottom here. There is nothing. There are no rubber grommets or anything like that, or any standoffs on the bottom to keep it from moving. Now, the cool thing about it is when you do build this, Lego does flex to a certain degree. And what I noticed is when you build the base and you have it on a flat, smooth surface, it can actually spin around like DJ style, like shoo, shoo, shoo. It's actually pretty neat. And I knew that wasn't a feature, but it's a pretty cool feature to spin this thing around. This would look really cool on like a really slow spinner, some kind of electric spinner, and just move like do they even have QVC anymore? The shop at home channels? I don't even know if that's even a thing anymore. I mean, is cable even a thing? Honestly, I don't know. But that's what it reminds me of. It looks like something you would see heavily lit on top of a glass counter and just spinning ever so slowly to get all the angles and stuff like that. That's what it feels like it can do. And it actually can, like I said, because what happens with the bottom is it just kind of rounds up ever so slightly after it's built. And I think it's just, I just think it's, the tensions of Lego to a certain degree, and allows it to be able to do that. On the base, we've actually got this new piece here. It comes in the trans clear, and it has one stud, I guess technically one stud opening on it to be able to, stick it, but it has one above as well. And the thing of this is it's a 2x2 modified plate, except it angles upward to the one corner. So I want you to think of a 2x2 plate, and I want you to remove 3 of the studs. Okay, you just have one stud. Where that one stud is, okay, if you were to turn this at an angle of like a baseball diamond, for instance, okay, and the home plate, if you don't know baseball, the home plate is where the batters are hitting from. Okay, hopefully baseball's so common in the world, not as common as football, soccer, European football. Anyway, take home plate is where that stud is. And first base is flat. And as you go towards second base, it crests upward. So second base is, I guess you could say about the height of the top of the stud. And then as you go from that crest from second base down to third base, you come back down that sloping decline to third base, and then it's flat again as you continue towards home plate where the stud is. That's really the best way. It came to me when I was building this. I was like, there's not a better way to describe this, I don't think, than a baseball analogy, this specific piece. But you have a bunch of those, and you have these opalescence type colored pieces here, the blue to make the water. But the thing is with this new piece is it makes it look as if it is either taken off from the water or is landed in the water. In this case, it is taking off because it already has a fish in its mouth. This piece could be a game changer without a doubt moving forward for a lot of mock builders and stuff. I can imagine this in some kind of big watery type scene. This is obviously much more condensed, but I'm curious to see what some parts usage this gets from A, other Lego sets coming in the future, and then B, with mock builders all over the world, what they can manage to accomplish with this thing. So this bird is pinned into place down in the belly of the beast. It cannot be removed. It cannot be, as you obviously would not want it to be. You only see a few Technic arms that are sticking up, and they're in that light gray, which is really not a big deal at all. Before we talk about the little bird here, we have some greenery that is around here. We have those fern pieces. We have the underwater type seaweed type pieces that we've got going on. Here we have these cattails that are sticking up out of the water. They're actually really cute in the way that they're done. So this kingfisher, I thought there were kingfishers here in the United States. This one specifically not. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's Australia. I believe I don't have the instructions with me at the moment. However, the coloring on this thing is really, really great. You get a lot of that dark blue for the feathers, the main feathers. Underneath the feathers, you get that sand blue with the petal piece that extends out underneath. Really, really sharp in the color contrast there. You have that nougat brown for the chest and the underside of the wings. You just have two little feet, and you've got two claws for each side of the foot. They can actually be posed. Not that you can really do anything much with them because, there's not a rear toe like a bird of prey to be able to latch on. So I mean, they're using their bill when they're going into the water, this long, sleek bill that they have. So the back, we'll talk about all the coloring, and then we'll talk about some more intricate things here. But the back, believe it or not, is of a lighter azure blue. And the funny thing is they have used a giant kind of like hood piece that you would see on a bigger model car, or like we've seen them on aircraft and stuff like that kind of give the fuselage a certain angle or roundness or shaping to it. I'm really curious to see this piece here. It was not expected at all. And when I opened the bag, I was like, wait, what are we doing with this? You have a rough idea, but until you see it come together, it's actually really kind of weird. So then we move up to the head here. You've got the little white tufting that is underneath the head between the chest and then the neck / the head. The head moves ever so slightly. It's not really meant to completely move around, obviously. And then it is also brick locked into place. So if you do it, you pop off a little cheese wedge. I'm not going to do that, but I don't think it's really going to hurt anything. And then the coloring on the face, we have some of that nougaty color with some white, and then the entire head is dark blue other than those little minor little lines of coloring. Then you use some microphone pieces, black for the eyes, and then you have these long black, smoother, angled pieces that have a rubber tip on the end. And then you have this little fish that it has eaten, this little, almost looks like a minnow, and that is in his mouth, that is in the lacquered silver. So the most fascinating thing I would have to say about this is the wings, in the way that the wings are done. Obviously, you're just stacking up plates and slopes and stuff like that, but it's the way that the wings are connected during each segment of the wing, because the wing builds are identical. But when you are building a certain section of this, the main actual wing, not the feathers that are sticking out across the front, but when you're building the actual structural wing, they have taken the modified 1x1, so it's a 1x1 round plate that is modified with a bar that sticks out. We've seen these countless times on so many different things, nothing new, but it fits perfectly, because then what it does is it goes through the eyelet hole of a 1x1 plate that has an eyelet hole, right? It has two studs that are kind of on the outside, but it's hollow in the middle. So it allows that to go through. That allows you to do two things here. You can move your wings or your feathers a little more forward, a little more backward, not behind the main wing, but you can manipulate them ever so slightly, and all of them, because you can lift them up and down and you can rotate them in and out. And that goes for every single wing, every single feather in here, except I guess the bottom one is really the most difficult. It's just because it's so tiny, it's the most difficult. So you can get some kind of play here. Not anything that's going to really create any different kind of posability, but it's nice to just get that ever different touch. But the top feathers on each side can really be splayed upward because they're not brick locked into place on top. The main focal point on this being the head, I guess, the whole scene is really sharply done. I'm a fan of something like this. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg. It falls under icons. And it's only so many hundred pieces, 834 pieces. It's a steal for me. This is 100% a steal for me. I think the price is well within reason. I mean, the main large parts that you have here, you have that back piece, like I said, that kind of like fuselage piece. And then the other thing that I did forget to mention, you have two really, really super long slopes that are two studs wide that run the entire length from, I guess, where the bottom of the legs fit in, the whole way up to basically where the neck is. Other than that, you don't have a whole lot of other big pieces. Your plates in here are not very big. Your bricks in here are not very big, not very long. And everything just kind of comes together really, really well. Like I said, the color contrast is there. And I want to say there's, I don't know, probably 20 of those new pieces, the transclear piece down there for the water texturing. I'll be curious to see if we get them in other colors in the future. I would not be shocked at all to see it on, I guess you could see maybe some of the Monkey Kid inspired sets or the Asian Chinese New Year type stuff. I could definitely see it fitting that kind of motif. And even, something to do with Lego City at some point. But I'm really interested with these pieces to see what ultimately ends up happening. So the bird as a whole, I think it's just a solid build. I had a lot of fun building it. It was just kind of an opportunity to just sit down, build something different. But it's not like, oh, it's got some play ideas to it. Oh, it's just another vehicle. This is a whole different thing. And I'm here for it. I definitely think this is something that you should consider. Without a doubt, I think it's something that deserves time and money. It's just a matter of, do you really think that it fits what you want to do and maybe your display? If not, it's definitely going to be a really cool gift idea, especially for somebody that's a bird lover. I'm that weird guy. And I don't even want to say weird. So it's the time of the year right now in Texas and most of North America where there's no foliage on the trees. On deciduous trees, right? Everything is kind of fallen down to the ground already, and we're getting ready for spring. Well, that allows you to see all the branches. The nice thing about it is, where I live, driving to the grocery store is a 25-minute trek, and it's all back roads. It's all these back country roads, and you've got higher power lines and stuff like that, but you have just hundreds and hundreds of trees, and then you have large open fields, whether it be for grazing animals or it be, for crops. And you see these hawks, falcons, vultures. My God, the other day I must have ran across probably 6 or 8 within a mile span. Obviously they are there for a reason and just hanging out or whatnot. Anyway, so I'm back to my main point here. I love being able to see that. And my wife's, in the car with me and she's like, oh my God, another bird. I'm like, yeah, I'm always looking out for that. I'm always looking out for things when I drive anyway, just because I have this irrational fear that I'm going to get broadsided by a deer. There's not a whole lot of deer around here because there's nowhere for them to really hide. You just have a bunch of open fields. However, I know it happens, and it is a fear of mine. While it seems pretty irrational for here, it's still a fear of mine. Anyway, so that whole long little diatribe to tell you, I'm a bird person. I like having birds outside my window, to feed birds and stuff like that. And anyway, so this definitely hit my niche area that I like, and it's not going to be for everybody. But I will say the build was a lot of fun, and the display is even better. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You have to let me know what your thoughts are. Did I do enough justice trying to describe the new piece? I'm telling you, when I thought of the baseball diamond, I was like, I feel like I hit gold. Now, whether it translated as that, I honestly have no idea. So until we meet again, I'm your Minifigure Ghost Matt. Let's build on it.